Good morning.
Hello, good morning. Hi, Rob. Welcome to
Good
Coffee.
morning, Amar. Thank you for having me.
First of all, let me thank you first. First of all, giving us the time, a family man, busy man, giving us a time on Saturday morning so that you,
It gives me a bit of peace from the
please,
family.
I won't tell, I won't, but it is live. Don't forget, Rob. I will send it to, Mrs.
Don't send it
Corradi.
to my
Mrs.
wife,
Corradi.
please.
hope hope Muzammil is also listening to it. Whenever he goes to your home, he can tell you. He can show the
Yeah,
link. He can show the directly the link. But seriously, um, it's been a long time we are talking about it. Like it's been 2 months when we will do a podcast together, and
yeah,
finally we are here. So I am feeling. I was very excited because I know how much knowledge you have. You are being into this. What I can say, ITSM or service operation background from last 20 years, 2022.
now you're making me think. It's been so long.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, ITIL,
yeah,
ITSM, certainly it's over 15 years for sure.
yeah.
Um, that was a brief history. I mean, people can see on LinkedIn. So I came from chemistry, right? That's my area of study. Got into IT around 2000 with a small consultancy. That didn't last long. Eventually landed with another company and we ended up doing a lot of work at Reuters. And one of the things we built was Reuters' first change management system. And that was good old ITIL V2 standard back
Mm.
then. So I've seen ITIL for a long time, and it was interesting. They were moving in their main data center from a paper-based change management system to us building them an intranet, a website for managing that. And eventually, yeah, they decided to buy something from via IBM Service Center, which eventually got bought by HP. So we saw the writing on the wall, right? The change tool that we owned and built was going sort of. I'll give you a bit of career background now.
Yeah.
I saw the end. We still built some other systems and development system for them, ISO compliance and others type things for them. But really, it was where I transitioned from development to sort of more of analysis, a business analyst type role. And we also had an asset management system for them at the time, and that also got replaced with HP Asset Center and then Manager. That was always the tool I liked the most, simply because fundamentally you could write SQL queries in it. The consultant that we worked with, Jamie Shears, had shown me, oh, you don't need to click the UI, you can actually write the SQL. It's like, right, I'm away. Um, so yeah, I made myself useful because I was still sort of subcontracted in at the time to Reuters and then Thomson Reuters in exploring the data and offering help in various ways. And then the opportunity arose to join Thomson Reuters. So I joined and became officially a business analyst with them around config and asset management. And that's where I got to meet Muz for the first time. And one of the first things we had to do was an upgrade project. So from Service Center to Service Manager, Asset Center to Asset Manager. And sorry, I'm preempting one of the questions from that you wanted to ask. So
Yeah.
this is, if you
No, no,
don't
no.
mind,
No, no.
um, it took 9 months to do a single upgrade, and we had a team of, I don't know if it was 20 developers in Bangalore working dedicated on this.
I got message of Muzammil. It was Asset Plus which you built.
Yeah, well, I looked after. I didn't build it. I didn't build it. It was a former colleague who built that.
Yeah.
I was left holding the reins after they'd moved on. So it was Assets Plus.
Plus, yeah.
Um, and yeah, so we had 20 developers. We had a team of 4 or 5 business analysts, for the process areas. We had a data architect. We had another architect. We had yeah, managers and project managers and so forth. And it still took 9 months. And we spent a lot of money with data migration. Um, not for the asset side, asset center to asset manager, just the upgrade ran and it just worked basically. But from service center to service manager, it was a replacement. We had to move from that instance to this instance, move the data. Some data, it made more sense to migrate than others. I won't relive the debates that we had about.
Rob, how was the servers during that time?
So they we kept running the old system.
Yeah.
What was one of the difficult topics was what no longer would be done. So there was a backlog of updates and releases and development opportunities that the customer that we wanted internally, and there had to be that debate of how critical is this. And eventually, two of the more senior managers got together and they basically went through the list with the process owners and said, right, incident process owner, you've got 7 demands in the backlog. It's a P1. Are you saying that we can't run without having this delivered today? No, we could do it manually. And then it's like, once that was said, then therefore it's not a P1, therefore we don't need it before the upgrade, the replacement. So it was that. It's a lot of process, discussion, communication. There were awkward topics during this because we'd also intended to add UCMDB into the mix. So for part of the SACM solution, as it was proposed back in those days, 3 tools, not 1, not 2, but 3. And then we did a sort of a pros and cons of the option analysis about USMDB. And in the end, what became apparent to everyone that we asked was that much as HP, who owned the tool set, the manufacturer, would say, yes, you should have USMDB in this picture, we couldn't get the value for deploying USMDB. And so we continued with sort of just the asset and configure and service management tools integrated for the time being. And yeah, that project ran for, as I said, 9 months. The data migration must have been 3 or 4 months of it preparing. And when we went to go live, I think we kicked off on a Friday evening at sort of like 5 p.m. It's like, hey, everyone, the system's offline. And then started the data migration process. I seem to remember, I think the CNDB data migration
How much
completed.
hours? How much hours?
It took until like 11 p.m. on a Friday evening. So we were
So
there
you
checking
guys,
the data at midnight on a Friday before you could go home and go to bed. And and it carried on. The migration took like 24 hours to complete for everything. The Sunday to Monday, it was like a 23-hour day in the office.
oh,
The whole team, the process owners, everyone, just to get live. And then now, wind forward, gosh, 20, 15 years or more, and look at ServiceNow. And yes, ServiceNow upgrades, they can be challenging, right? It's understanding what we need to do, looking at the upgrade logs, the skip records, and so on. But 9 months? No, I don't think so. We've done one. We did one a few years ago now, admittedly, for Moody's, which was a skip upgrade. I can't remember. It was like Dublin to Fujitsu or Fuji or whatever. The version was called Fuji. Yeah, too many Fs. And then we had 2 devs and me as a test manager, and we were done inside a month. Right, and the hardest bit was getting the process owners to verify that the upgraded instance was working as expected. And what was very insightful, and it's a human element as always, them saying, oh, the new version doesn't work, there's something different in it. It does, when I click this, it does that. And you're going to the sandpit, the original version, and going, when I click this, it does the same. It hasn't changed. But people are spotting things that they aren't aware of in an upgrade because they're putting a bit more attention on it suddenly. So it's that human element there.
And it happens if you change the browser, Rob, sometimes it works. Browser's issue is also there.
Certainly, I mean, historically, certainly, you're making me think of Internet Explorer and some of the pain there. Yeah, when Internet Explorer was still a corporate standard,
Yes.
and yet Chrome was there. Chrome's always been faster on the JavaScript rendering engine and everything. It's a much more agile browser, even if it maybe takes a few resources from your PC or your device. But sometimes you were there and it was like, well, Internet Explorer is the corporate standard and we can't do anything about it. We even had one, and it was that first project that I did in ServiceNow around HR, where we'd built something for them. And when they tested, or when one person tested, it wasn't working. When we tested, it was working. And eventually it was telling them, could you press Control F5 on your browser, please, to force it to do a refresh? It was the caching of Internet Explorer. It was caching the old version and not getting the update in. So the code wasn't working. I mean, this these are things, right? It's just experience working with internet technology over the years. You pick these things up. So
Yeah, correct. So thanks for the brief introduction.
great.
Now everyone comes to know from where Rob comes. How was the so okay? If you are talking about the introduction, let's say, as you said, Thomas and routers, you were there. So how you entered into service now? What happened? Like
So
it made you believe, let's go into service.
it was really it was a career decision in terms of
Mm-hmm.
opportunity for me. Um, we we had worked with a company, a consultancy with the HP toolset, who were then called Infrasolve and then became called Innovise and then became called Engage. And and they were back doing some work consulting with Thomson Reuters on again on the HP toolset. And the people that I'd known originally, some of them were saying, "Oh, we started doing some work with ServiceNow. It's really good. You should look at this." And bit by bit, you were seeing the challenges with the on-premise instance. You know, the fact that you had to keep managing the infrastructure, the time it took to stand up a server to do this. You know, we had a Unix server running Oracle database, so you need a Unix expert, you need an Oracle expert, you need the network for you. The security model was complicated as well, with firewalls all over the place and so on. If you had any performance issues, it was very difficult to diagnose and get on top of. And then for me personally, I was looking for a change.
Okay.
I had been in config and asset for several years. I got on really well with the then process owner for configuration management and his analyst and the data architect. Great guys, still keep in touch with them when I can. Um, but I'd started looking actually to get into software asset management at the time. And there was an opportunity in Thomson Reuters to move into that side of things, which if that had come forward, I would probably have had a very different career at this point. And there was a hiring issue that
Mm.
stopped that role going forward. And then I spoke to someone I knew, said, "Hey, what's the opportunities there?" And he said, "Yeah, let me know." Spoke to people that I knew at Innovise, a couple of people, Joe McKenna and Steve Merchant, and they made me a job offer. I jumped across. I had to learn a lot of ServiceNow at that point because I hadn't, been able to get the time to do much with it until then. But it was from where we'd come with the on-prem to that. It was like, the leap from, I don't know, from lighting candles to having light bulbs or something. It was just a quantum leap from a technological standpoint from here to there. It moved things amazingly. Um, as I said, and then a lot of learning to be had to get up to speed with ServiceNow. Um, I'm trying to remember when they had the we did the learning courses, but they didn't have the certification back then. So
Yeah.
life was easy. You could do the course and just carry on. Didn't have to do an exam. Um, so sort of got my admin, and I was actually supposed to be more in a pre-sales capacity initially. Going in, once the sort of customer's ready to sort of work on an SOW sign up, and there was a, "Hey Rob, look, we're a bit short on resources because Innovise at the time, Innovise ESM at the time, we were like 35 people in the
Mm.
UK only. Um, do you think you could help out on a project?" And HR, yeah, naivety, sure, no problem. How hard could it be? Foolish words. And I'd worked in HR when I had a temporary role at some point in the past as well, so I had some familiarity around the wider sort of concepts in HR. That was a eye opener. I mean, that was truly a challenging project for me as an opener.
Yeah,
As
it includes all the tables, Rob. Yeah, if we work on human resource or HRSD or case management, it includes everything. From case you can open incident, from incident, ITS audits will come. So yeah, it's eye opener, correct.
No, I mean back then that wasn't there, right? This was
So
still
you
very early.
custom, you created whole custom
It
application.
was we
Oh,
had we had custom IP that had been built by the Innovice team. As I said, my understanding, and I can stand to be corrected, but I can always go and ask people who were there at the time. Um, Innovice had actually built an HR solution for a bank in the UK. That was the first on ServiceNow. They'd all been doing ITSM for ages, and then there was and a couple of guys came up with the HR concept, and ring fenced it with ACLs and whatnot and so on, and they built it into an IP that they were offering, right? So we had standard IP. The story goes apparently that our then CTO, who's in another region these days, said he witnessed as he could see ServiceNow looking at the code in the instance. They could see ServiceNow. It was like, oh, nothing we can do about it. And then unsurprisingly, a little while later, they launched their HR offering. Shall we say the first offerings were very similar. When I came to do this HR project, it was the second version of HR that ServiceNow had iterated, so things had changed quite significantly. And yeah, it was challenging. I mean, one of the things we had to do was reduction in force. It was an American company. We had to build all the logic into the system. 50 states, 50 different sets of rules. So depending on the state, you were getting different things. You had different calculations for remuneration and pay and so on and so on. And one of the other things that the guys had built at Innovise then, they had a document creator. It was XML based. You basically had a Word document, saved it into Word 2003 XML format, and you could take that document and embed it into ServiceNow, and it was basically a find and replace. So you'd click generate document, it'd take that template, it would take information out of the case, put it into the document, and generate your Word doc. But that again, it sounds. I mean, the same capabilities exist out natively now, but at the time it seemed right. That's great. We'll just put your name in, put this in, put that in, and then it's like, oh, but in California you have to remove that paragraph and put something else in. So then you had document sections that you had to start managing, and there were, I think we had 10 documents we had to do.
Yeah,
I think I managed to get through one document first pass. Maybe took me a week, because you had to read the XML to find the point in the XML to put the variables in. It was very manual, very difficult. Obviously, things have improved since then. And as you said, Amar, HR now is a fully fledged, HRSD is a fully fledged solution. I mean, it brought Employee Service Center to us all because it was an HR solution, and now it's a standard solution on the platform. So yeah, it's very good. But again, as I mentioned earlier, it's HR service desk, right? It's not the human capital management sort of thing where the system of record will reside often. And ServiceNow are pushing that global business service concept where, you come to the service desk, we work out what needs to be done, we'll engage with the system of record, they'll do the update, we'll surface it back to you, give you that nice, consistent user experience.
Well, if you talk about documents, so I don't know how much you have seen HRSD. So they have this called manage documents. So from there, they can manage their document. It can go for review. Let's say you want to get it approved first. Some HR new policies have come. So they will create the document there, and let's say Rob, you are CTO, and then CEO, something like that. Then it will go for review, and once CTO and CEO has approved it, automatically it will be created as a knowledge article, and everyone can see it. So it is powerful. HRSD is powerful. And you talked about employee center. If you remember about Fuji, so at that time it was content management, CMS.
Yes.
You remember custom
Yeah.
processors, jelly
CMS.
scripting,
CMS, because CMS always, the acronym always frustrated me,
Yeah.
because CMS was Configuration Management System
So
in ITIL v3, and ServiceNow launched CMS and goes, oh, right, we're doing configuration. Oh, it's a portal.
yeah.
Yeah.
So from there, they came to portal, service portal, now service portal to ESC portal.
ESC.
So things are changing. You see, things are
And
changing.
ESC really, it does what we all said originally. Oh, you want one portal, and yet service portals were multiple. Here's your service portal. Oh, we've got a different one for HR and a different one for the workplace and a different one. So now finally it is all in that one place. So yeah, it gives you that consistent experience, that one landing page for your user base, right? I know without saying too much about work, sometimes I get a little bit frustrated about how many links for different portals I
Total.
need to have in my
Obviously.
favorites.
Yeah, yeah. In our company as well, intranet different web,
Yeah,
link is there for payroll. Different link is there for putting leaves. Different link is there. And yesterday I went for a dinner in our neighbor house, and I was wearing the same T-shirt yesterday as well. So I thought we are having a call. I should have changed the T-shirt. So they said, "What is it?" So here it is written ServiceNow community. So they said, "We raised a timesheet on ServiceNow. So is it the same tool you work for?" I said, "Yeah, you guys are using HRSD. I can understand." Then I had a discussion with them, like what exactly you do. So they said timesheet, and they said our pay slips are also coming there. So our knowledge articles are also. So
yeah,
I felt like they are using the whole package of HRSD.
yeah,
So somewhere people don't know about ServiceNow now as well, because for them it's a end tool, and I have to explain them. Way back in 2015, Rob, when I joined this and I was in a university, out of it I came, and some of our friends used to meet, good friends after the work, and they used to work in .NET, Java, web developer, and people used to see at me and, "What you work at?" I said, "ServiceNow." What it is? I also never knew what it is because I was given a module of email notification. I used to work in that. And being a fresher, you don't know what exactly you're doing, right?
yeah. Well, I mean, it's we all need time to learn, right?
Yeah.
And the challenge back in that sort of time would have been, what does it do? Oh, ITSM.
I
It's a ticketing tool. Yeah, and there's still, unfortunately, within the wider IT industry, that perception that, oh, ServiceNow, oh, that does tickets. Oh, ServiceNow is just for a service desk, and the message is not getting out there properly sometimes, despite the marketing. And the Idris Elba adverts are fantastic. I do enjoy watching those. Um, and the fact that ServiceNow has been doing more than just tickets and ITSM for over a decade now, and it's the capabilities are astounding. Um, and they keep adding to them. I mean, they
every
don't
time,
stop.
every time, yeah. That's what I was going to ask. Like, so if you see, you have worked on different tools, right? And the
Yep.
way you see now, service now, every time, like you talked about certification as well. Now Delta exams have come. I have given CSA of 3 times. 2015 or 16 I gave once, and it got expired again. When I joined new company Cognizant, they said without CSA you cannot enter into a project.
Yeah.
Then again gives, then COVID came, then again that expired. Again they said everyone is asking where is your CSA certificate, and
So
3 times I have to give
it's
it to him.
it's difficult because, I mean, a former colleague now,
Mm.
who I won't name, who works for ServiceNow at this point, knew more about the inner workings of ServiceNow than anyone I've ever met,
Mm.
and never had a CSA. I think he might have done CSA and that was it. That was the limit of his certifications. He had his admin, but he understood the tool somehow. Um, he worked on on-premise instances as well, so he actually got to see the data, the Java libraries, and would be curious and look inside them and things like that. So he really,
Java,
really understood the tool.
you're
Um,
hitting you're hitting me. Java libraries.
it's sort of,
You understand, whenever some issue is there, we are trying to understand what exactly the code is. Okay, somewhere it is hidden in Java language.
it's hidden. I mean, for you, typically, the best you can do is raise a case, and but make sure you've got the right details in the case, because you will get pushback, and to some degree, rightly so. I mean, we had one recently. It's a completely custom solution for a customer that we've built, bespoke, scoped application. We apply a security patch, something stops working, or raise a case. What's the response? Yeah, that's a custom solution. That's your problem. Ticket closed.
Yes.
So it's having the right degree of evidence in that sort of scenario, that we have done everything within this scoped application to abide by the rules. This has come in, something's changed. It's you have to do the right cause amount of root cause analysis to point to the thing and provide that information in these sorts of situations. But it's
Mm,
interesting time.
I understand what you're saying. Like, what like okay, the topic is here now, certification, I think.
Yeah,
So because I hold like 9 certification, what happened, Rob, is like I started working on hardware asset management
yeah,
with David. Uh, then I thought I know now what exactly this hardware asset management is. I understand it very properly. So company is providing, sponsoring the certification. Why not have it?
yeah,
First David completed it, then now it became a competition. Let's just I will also complete it within the same organization. It feels like that. So I completed ham, and next year then we had CSM project.
yeah,
One of the company we bought, and we wanted to onboard them into our ServiceNow instance. So we have bought multiple companies. Advania, UK has this year you might have seen like we bought 2 companies. So we want to bring them as well into
yeah,
service. So there are a lot of projects like that. It is there. So we need to understand, Rob, what exactly their use case is, what exactly their business is. So we are more like a Microsoft service based company. But we have not bought all the Microsoft service based company. It's very, some of the resellers are there. Some is the testing company. Some of them are in voice. You say unified comms, like that it is. So we need to understand their business. So we understood for them CSM model is the correct model.
mm,
We started CSM project for them. Then I thought, okay, I know CSM as well. Let's complete CSM project as well. And then we are an MSP instance. Then we did software asset management, your favorite topic. So subscription model. So
yeah,
we had the licenses, and there was no, what do you say, audit or uh, governance on the licenses. We never understood who are having the licenses, how many people are having, groups and users were not proper. So we started a new project, and I did a good job in that asset management software. Then I thought, now I know software asset management as well. So I completed that certification. So what I feel, Robert, according to me, like what I have worked on it, then only I do the certification. Or else
mm.
I feel like going there, learning from now, learning and doing certification for the world. It's not me, and I know a lot of people are not there like that. But I've seen people, they feel doing certification is a good thing. But yeah, it's a topic of discussion, right?
It's a it's a challenging one, right?
Yeah,
Everyone's different. Everyone's different, and people
different.
learn differently.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, I think the way you've done it, it works for you, Amar.
Mm.
And you learn. I'm certainly like you. It sounds like learn by doing.
Yes.
And when we do, if we do the course in isolation, there's a bit of hands-on lab within the training course. Okay, click, 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 but it's all very, it sometimes feels a bit too pre-canned. I click there, I click there. Hey, you've done it. I was going through in Now Learning one of the career paths that I'd randomly started and hadn't got through, and I thought, okay, I had a few hours, I'll start doing this. And I think it was the platform intelligence bit. So I was going through some of the training courses. Yeah, 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 yeah. Oh, look, start the new course. Oh, there's a quiz at the end. Skip to the quiz. Try the quiz. If I pass, I pass. Yeah, right. Move on to the next course. Yeah, I failed the micro cert.
Yeah.
I've got to go, so I've still got to learn. But it's it's difficult because equally, ServiceNow are also with their partner ecosystem, putting the partners in a position where you actually need certified people to be put on the project at the front.
Yeah.
So the way
Win-win
ServiceNow are
situation.
moving,
It's a
it's the
win-win.
opposite way.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's a win-win
you need
situation.
the cert to be able to be on the project,
Yeah.
but I think the certification, yes, it brings you to a point, a bit like going to school and doing maths or English or chemistry in my case, right? When you changed schools and went from sort of primary school, well, from 16-year-olds here in the UK GCSEs to A level, people came from different schools. So the first thing they're trying to do is baseline everyone, get you all to the same standard. Some people, their school had them up there, some of them out there, but we all need to be here. And that's where I think the certs have
Yeah.
their value. They bring everyone to at least this understanding of the platform. And then it's by doing and delivering that we learn more, and that experience ultimately tells the difference.
Correct. And Rob, now one more question I had, and I think I missed it. The question was like having a doctorate degree in chemistry and working for IT. What was the exact thing happened? Something.
It's I always seem to have an interest in IT. So even while I was doing my doctorate in the lab, we were mucking about with the computers. There was I'm that old. There was Netscape browser, and Netscape had an email client, and I connected the Unix email to that, and
Mm,
was trying to see if I could get it working. Had a housemate at the time who was very much into IT, running a bulletin board service on his Amiga. Um, he's now fully into IT. Even his degree, his PhD in chemistry was very much IT based with
Mhm.
lasers and computer control technology. Um, then for me, it was really I took my first when I finished my degree. I was tempering. I was temping. I had a temporary job in Brighton, and I ended up working for American Express. And in that, I was in their corporate purchasing card department. And originally, I was doing a really complicated job of answering the phone and
Yeah.
making floppy disk images and posting out packs of all floppy disks to customers to
Correct.
install the software. Then I had to follow up because it was modems, right? I mean, this is a long time ago, so it was
Mm.
dial-up modem technology, checking that they got connected, proving that their dial-up would work. And they had to, the small business have to have a second line because obviously I was on the phone to them on one, and they had to have the modem working on the other. And this was also that big companies could put orders in with them, and they would use their corporate purchasing card, and everyone gets a slice of the money in the middle, so everyone makes money. And then it sort of evolved a little bit where first we got to CD-ROMs, so that was good, and then
I was going to talk about. I was going
and
to
then
tell you.
and
Yeah.
then and then we got a little bit of MS Access training within that. So that was my first exposure to IT training was about Microsoft Access,
Microsoft.
and it was like relational database, and it was like wow, like these kind of like the light bulb went off in my head at that point, um, and it just fascinated me the concept of relational databases, and then a job came up in chemistry, so I studied for that, so I went and took that job. Um, it didn't it's a slow pace
Mm.
in industrial research in chemistry, and it was perhaps that didn't sort of keep me engaged. That you go in day after day, and it's like small step. Whereas in IT, you can really see, you can if you get the code done, if you get this, you can see the jumps that you make. And then a friend of mine had said, "Oh, look, it was at a small consultancy in London." Said, "We're hiring." Went down for the interview, got the job. They gave us a bit more training, sort of SQL Server, actual, good old ASP coding on, was it VB script or JScript and so on. And that sort of gave me the grounding in IT development, and even some consulting skills. Right, there's still some things because they prepared you to go and talk to the customer to sort of engage, to try and secure business and all sorts. So there was that kind of marketing soft skills aspect to it as well. Um, that unfortunately, it was Y2K didn't quite have the impact that everyone thought, and the money for IT that was all being thrown into it sort of dried up a bit, and there was ultimately I was made redundant from that one, and the company ultimately went bust in the
Mm.
longer run. And then that's where I eventually found that job working with a small company. I think there were three of us doing development at the time, doing sort of some web work, sort of initially externally, but then more and more internally in Reuters. Um, three people at point. One person was the guy that ran the Asset Plus system that was mentioned, so that was Reuters Global Asset Inventory. Um, the manager ran their global alerting system for market. So when they send out market data, if there was an issue, his was the system that alerted the markets that, oh, there's a problem with the market data, don't use it. And I built, with some help, the global change management system, which managed I think we claimed 176 data centers across the world, but some
Mhm.
of them, were points of presence, a cabinet in a data center somewhere, but 176 data centers across the world. And that's how, chemistry slowly got me into IT. And then not really looked back. I mean, occasionally there's a glance over to science and think, wow.
Like
But
looking at the kids' book, sometimes what exactly they are teaching now in chemistry. Sometimes it happens.
but they're not at that level yet, thank God,
Okay.
because they'll know more than me for sure. But it's interesting, and if I maybe help move the topic, what you see in IT now
Mm.
is the evolution in IT. It's come from that scientific, that
Mm.
investigation. What can we do? People were coming up with clever algorithms. I remember it was the Service Desk Roadshow. I had to look on my coffee mug because it had the year in 2015. And I remember a talk, someone speaking there saying, the algorithms are coming. You will work beyond your death. How can I work beyond my death? I'm dead. He says, no, the algorithm will understand how you think and it will keep going. You'll be gone, but it will keep going. And here we are. Artificial intelligence
It's
has
just,
arrived.
yeah, yeah. I get it. I get it. What you're trying to say is like it's not about what we have learned the subjects. It's also all about science, and it gives us power also to think that much. If we are learning something in science, if physics, chemistry, anything, so it increases our brain power. I feel.
It's
So I
the
was good, yeah,
analytical
analytical.
analytical aspect of it. I mean, one of the founders of Innovise Engage, when he interviewed, he had a theory. Said great coders have a good A level in maths, right? To be a good coder, it's maths.
I
It's
was good.
mathematical.
I was
My
good.
maths grade wasn't so good, so my code wasn't so great.
my maths was my maths is good.
Yeah.
So I used to take lectures, Rob. Nobody knows about it much. Like when I started my career when I was in university as well. I used to go in small tutors, and I was like a tutor, and I used to go in small tuitions and give classes. Some of the students used to come at my house, but I used to teach only maths.
Mm,
Maths to people who those people who have got backlogs, who are a failure guys. So I used to take a challenge and make them, basically pass in the exam, and so that they can start the career, because of one subject they were not able to get the graduation degree, and
yeah.
because of that they were stuck. They were not able to do something. So one of my student right now, he started delivering foods at that time, because he was failed in maths 3 times, and he came to me with minimal fees. I passed him, and he did the engineering degree afterwards, mechanical. Right now he's in Germany.
Yeah.
That part was not done for him, because it is
Yeah.
what exactly he was studying, or what exactly to which tutor he was going. They were not teaching them that analytically. But yeah, maths was good.
It's
That's the reason. Yeah, it
it's
takes
that
less time to understand us what
it's
exactly.
that engagement, right? So we were saying before, even like the way you learn, you prefer
Mm,
to do and then do the cert afterwards, right? Whereas it's having the right way of teaching. I mean, even school colleagues, school friends back at school when we had one science teacher who was teaching us chemistry and biology at secondary school. I was fine with it. I enjoyed it. I liked those subjects, fine. But the rest of the class, the grades weren't great. And then a couple of years later, they changed to a different teacher who taught differently. Again, I was still fine with it in chemistry. My grades went up because he was a
mm,
good teacher, but the rest of the class, their grades shot up because his style of teaching was different. The way he got the class thinking was different, and they just engaged, and it
mm.
switched. More of them could finally switch on and engage, and I guess that's
That,
what you had there, right? The
and
other tutors.
yeah, that's the reason you joined Engage. I'm joking.
So I mean, it was a career decision at the time. I was dead ended. Where if I stayed at Thomson Reuters, I would still probably be a business analyst,
Yeah,
outsourced to. I'm not sure if it was TCS or someone else who got outsourced. They got outsourced to. I'd probably still be there, just going. You know,
yeah.
I'm a BA. That's it.
Yeah,
Um,
you are a principal architect for me,
yeah,
Rob. Always now. So, Rob, as you talked about AI, let's switch to that topic, because it was a part of our agenda, right?
yeah,
So, if you remember, we made a shard recently, not recently, last March, in the March month. Yeah. So, we had a great discussion on agentic AI. ServiceNow people came and told about it. So, people are now doing micro certification. I can see everywhere on LinkedIn, But I heard this word when the sales guys came from. Okay, you might be you went to you went into that sales conference in LA. Like we have
no, no, I
knowledge.
didn't.
No, no.
No, no, I didn't.
So there they started, like they raised their hand and they said we are in CRM now.
Yeah,
So salespeople were calling all the clients and they were discussing, like we have you know this new things is coming. So one of the person is there, our account manager Josh. So he started telling, so we have done Now Assist, we have done Gen AI, now we are moving to Agentic AI.
Yeah.
And that was first time we heard this word. I know it is a very common word in Salesforce, Agentic AI. They have done long time ago, but for us it was very new. Agentic, what it is? And we stopped them and we asked them what exactly Agentic AI is. This was about January. So that is the reason I wanted to attend that session, and there we met. And
Yeah.
can you tell us about like what
So I mean,
exactly Agentic AI is and
yeah.
how it differs from other AI models?
So I mean, I was just yesterday looking at a webinar from ServiceNow with various people, and they classified it very well, right? You started with what they called classic AI, classic
Mm,
artificial intelligence, machine learning, right? So the machine was sort of digesting and learning, that helped us get to like natural language understanding and intent. So virtual agent, natural language understanding. I write something in free text, the machine takes it away and goes, oh, I think I understand what you mean, and can offer perhaps something there, and the intent taking it to the next level. And then only 2 years ago, believe it or not, only 2 years ago, generative AI hit the mainstream to the human masses.
masses.
ChatGPT went live, um, and don't keep in mind that it's been just 2 years. And when it went live, it was text, write your text, and it can respond. Um, Now it's moved into sound. They do sound. They could do images. They can do video, coding. Watch out, they can do coding. Um, but with the images, even then, right? You look back 2 years ago, and everyone's going, well, don't worry. Look at that. That human being it's rendered has got 7 fingers and three thumbs, and it was the hands. It couldn't do the hands.
Mm, mhm.
Now you go, 2 years on, it can do the hands. One of the classic chats in one of the AI chat groups I'm on, um, someone was saying about 6 months ago, you cannot get AI to render in an image a glass of wine that is full to the very top.
Mhm.
And try as we might, we all posted images in the chat group. It's like, right, give me a glass of wine, half full. Right, now make the glass full,
True.
half full. No, fill it so the wine is coming out the top. I ended up with a glass of wine that was half full, and the wine was coming out through the side of the glass.
Mm.
It never went up, it just came out the side of the glass. It couldn't raise it. A few weeks ago, maybe a month ago, someone posted a picture. It can do it. So we've got generative AI, right, was really got into the human mindset, and it's improving and improving and improving,
True.
right? It hasn't stopped the progress. And now we've got agentic AI, which the ServiceNow people say, it's been half a year, right? We're at the beginning of agentic AI. And anyone around ServiceNow should have seen that simple formula, data flow, workflow,
Mm.
agentic AI.
Yeah.
Right? Data remains for all AI critical. Your
Critical.
data quality, we've been moaning about data quality in the CMDB for decades, in other areas and so on, knowledge articles. It's becoming more important because you give an AI bad data to learn on, you're going to get bad answers. You give a human being bad advice, they give you
Mm.
bad outcomes,
Out.
right? So the quality's got to be there. So the agentic AI is simply at a point now where, with the right data, with the flow, the workflow behind it, it is now engaging and doing. So at the moment, it's being used in quite a reactive mode.
Mm.
So the concept would be, support a service desk agent. So the human in the loop, right? So I get the support case, I come on shift, I get a support case, the great example, click summarize because I've just switched on and it's a case that someone was working on. Get the summary, right? Engage the agent in the chat. What's the next step? So the agentic AI can now do things like sort of looking at knowledge and say, hey, we recommend that we should send out a message to do the following, right? So contact the end user, say, it's a broadband issue, reboot your router. Here's the knowledge article. Go and share that. Has that worked? No. Draft an email. It can draft the email. It can say what you want. You can read the email as the agent. Say no, redraft it. Oh, that's good. No, you can send that. That's okay to send out. So it's reactive. There's human in the loop. Within the ServiceNow setup, there's an option to take the human out of the loop.
Oh,
At some
I did
point,
not.
at some point, at some point, it will happen, right?
I did not
It,
knew
it,
that.
there's a drop down I saw on one of the lab instances recently where it's sort of, you know, there's a, I can't remember the
So
exact term for
AI
it.
agent studio, you're talking about AI agent
Yeah,
studio.
it was
Okay.
within one of the agentic setup fields. So, but that's to be expected. I don't think that should surprise anyone that because we're at the beginning with agentic AI, it's important to build that trust from the
Yeah.
human
Human
perspective.
trust. Yeah.
So you've got to get that trust built up. You've got to prove that it works. And if it keeps solving the problems more and more, then you'll get the small cases and go, right, in this scenario, human out of the loop. Just let it go on.
Yeah.
And then you've got to keep monitoring, right? Check the stats, the satisfaction from the end users, that it's not dropping, that it's staying high. Keep an eye on it, sort of thing. And more than that, right? Because again, we're only in the first 6 months of agentic AI. The goal then is to move on to be proactive, where it starts planning.
Mm.
So the idea that the agents there may be, an agent's monitoring systems and goes, we've noticed something. Raise a case, raise an incident. Right, incident. Go and check this. We've noticed a slight, performance drop off on one node of this application somewhere, and it goes and does everything. It's taken the run book
But
orchestration to a new level.
so Rob, if you see ServiceNow does that in their performance, sometimes if our instance performance is going down, they create a case by their own,
Yeah,
proactively, and they close it.
yeah.
We don't have to do anything. So I think
And and
somehow
this
they
would
are
be,
also using it.
yeah, absolutely. ServiceNow will use their own solutions, right?
Mm.
They're not a do as we say, not as we do. They're a do as we say, we do the same. There's people there within the organization who are using the technology, engaging with customers, feeding their learning into best practices out into the wider industry to the customers. So it's not a shock to the world that it works. I mean, the next step, and I know we were at that session together.
Mm.
Um, where does it go next? So we know that ServiceNow has already with the AI Agent Studio, it's got
Yeah.
the concept of having, we've got agents, right? You can define agents. They're going to have libraries of agents that people can install and use standard, an incident agent, a problem, a change, a CSM, an
Case. Yeah.
HRSD, etc. Um, but it's that layer above again that's interesting. So the orchestration of agentic AI, and the thing that really fascinates me in a kind of, again, in that curious scientific kind of thing, the thing that fascinates me is where does that go? So today we know that ServiceNow are looking to orchestrate within ServiceNow, certainly. If I've got an incident, the incident AI agent kicks off. What does it need? Oh, I need something from another AI agent. So it'll reach out and talk to that AI agent, right? So the humans are either in the loop,
Mm.
being involved in the decision, or later on, we'll let that get on, and maybe you're just in the loop on the incident and let the other AI agents work independently. But more than that, right? And again, this is the bit where it gets really interesting when they start stepping outside of ServiceNow. Oh, I need information from another tool
Let's say
to answer
Splunk.
this.
Yeah. Let's say
Yeah,
Splunk for performance.
Splunk,
Yeah.
Dynatrace, yeah,
Yeah.
and others. So when they can then say, hello, is there an AI agent I can talk to? Um, and right now, I would expect that it's a bit. It'll probably be a bit like integrations today, where where you
Workflow data fabrics. That's the reason they have bought that data fabrics.
yeah. But
Yeah.
it'll be a bit like you define the integration. Yeah.
Yes.
Uh, what again? And I'm this is just me
Assuming.
imagining.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
I'm imagining a bit. What happens in the day where you go far enough forward in time that you've put your governance, you've got your guardrails, you've got your rules. Your AI agent goes, oh, I need some data from Splunk or from Dynatrace. It reads a knowledge article. It reads the internet to work out how to connect. We have no formal connection. We know we have an instance, but no formal. Somewhere maybe they're not. It'll need a credential vault because you'll obviously need a credential to get to.
Yeah.
But it dynamically works out. Right, I need to connect there. Read the information. Go and reach. Hello, I'd like to talk to the AI agent. Yes. Who are you? Who are you? Validate with your credential. Get the information. Gone. Not having that fixed integration. It's dynamically possibly going out there and saying, hey, let's talk. I need some information. Yeah, just validate who you are. Zero trust. Okay. You're validated. Give me the information. Thank you. Bye bye. Shut the door. So there's things. I mean, that's just me. Yeah, maybe going a bit
No,
crazy, having too much caffeine in the morning or something. But
makes
it
sense.
was something someone said on a talk recently. It was more. It wasn't ServiceNow specific. It was more generic about enterprise architecture and stuff, about these sorts of things. So yeah, it's imagine where it can take you.
Yeah,
That's the
yeah.
thing. I think our imagination is what will limit what we will deliver with AI at the moment.
No, it's a interesting thought, or what do you say? Your imagination is correct. Like what happens with us, let's say. So that's what they are going to build with Agentic AI. So if I am being a platform architect, someone raises an incident, performance issue is there. So I will check the performance service now of transaction logs, how much time it is taking, debug, business rules, what exactly is happening. Okay, everything looks good at my end. Okay, obviously the node tuning, indexing, everything will be checked.
Yeah,
But what happens if I get to see something from ServiceNow side, from the ServiceNow Splunk? I could get some data because that data is never shown to us. It is like if we raise a case at that time, it comes to us. Okay, we
yeah,
can see some spikes in the Splunk, and let's say if their credential is already saved in the auth registry table,
yeah.
and agentic AI can go there, take the credential.
Which I mean, to be fair, in that case, Amar, I think, and as you rightly pointed out,
Yeah.
if that were the case, you'd probably find it's the other way around. The ServiceNow agent, for their monitoring, is reaching out and giving a proactive case,
Yes.
saying, "We found something. Boom, there's a case. We've
Yes.
dealt with it. It's back to normal." Yeah. But yeah, exactly that. It's that scenario where we need to reach to other systems as part of it. I mean, ServiceNow again, it's system of action, not system of record in all cases. I think they've looked at sort of even things like event management and
Mm.
realized and said in some cases, well, it might just be that you need to use Dynatrace. The information is in Dynatrace and won't be coming across to ServiceNow. Um, and that again is where we need these connections. There's probably an official term for this. Where agentic AI talking to agentic AI.
Yeah,
It's not
yeah,
an integration, a communication point sort of
yeah.
between the agents. But
Yeah.
the end goal is the important bit about getting the right data to give the right experience to the end users, is always it.
No,
And
I had one more thought, Rob. Like now you're imagining, so my imagination power is also increasing from here. So what I'm thinking, let's say they create a Teams meeting or some Zoom meeting, and they are talking with each other, and they are recording the call, and they are sending to service now as well, and they're sending to us as well.
there was a colleague said there was someone demonstrated something. It wasn't with ServiceNow, I don't believe, but it had two AIs talking to each other,
Yeah.
and it started off it's like hello, hello, blah, 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 I need to ask this, I need to have that, right? And it started, and you see the messages pinging, 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 and at some point, the two AIs realized that they were AIs,
Okay.
and then the conversation just accelerated. It's like blah, 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 so human couldn't keep up anymore,
Oh,
right? That sort of thing. And you've got to think, right? There's no putting AI back in the box, right? It's out, right?
oh, yeah.
My only advice, I'm getting old. I hope to retire before it gets in my way of my job.
I
I'm not
understand.
sure I will. Um, we need to embrace the technology, right? You need to embrace that this is there. Understand how you, as a human, can be involved,
Mm.
because there's things about it can write code, it can do this, it can do that, um, so it can be good. I think where we need human oversight still is in the governance,
Oh,
in the
that's-
policies, in the monitoring. We still need that oversight above it, um, because as I said, right now that trust level perhaps is low, and we want to prove that
Rob,
agentic AI works.
remind me at that event when we were, they said, like, they are bringing the governance, right? In this Yokohama release.
Yeah, I mean, governance is ultimately, I think, one of the speakers at the event said,
Yeah.
treat AI like any other IT asset with its governance, its
Mm.
policies. You need to ensure that they're there. ServiceNow themselves have ensured there's certain guardrails. The incident agent will not read your HR data, because that's like IT service desk. You can't read the HR data, right? So those gates, those controls are still there, and they'll be there for artificial intelligence as well, for agentic AI. But that's what we've got to make sure of, right? The wider concept. Again, the webinar I was watching the other day, they were talking about how the companies that are currently succeeding with AI, it's where the leadership has got a high score in understanding and leading people in the company into that, where they've got the governance established, so they know what the rules are. So often, it's those companies that where governance is critical. So those financial institutions, they'll be the ones that will sort of be sort of ahead of the game compared to others in these areas. And I mean, one of the other things that I was quite fascinated by this statement. They said only 1 in 10 proof of concepts make it to production for artificial intelligence. I mean, that's pretty poor. You would have thought, we've seen the American term, we've drunk the Kool-Aid. Wow, look what's possible. So why is it failing 9 times out of 10 when you're sort of trying to do the proof of concept? So again, it'll come back to those controls, there's governance, that data. If you're not getting your data into good shape, it's not going to do it for you. It's going to automate the mess that you've already got.
They've clearly said it's all about data. And we also know AI is all about data. And AI is not to take jobs of people, it's just to, make your job easy. That's what.
Yeah, there was, I mean, again, an old tool, HP Operations Orchestration. We were at an event, right? That was an automation tool, a workflow automation tool. I was at an industry event with lots of other customers of that tool. And one of the guys said, "Oh yeah, you came in and put that into the bank or the building I used to work at. Yeah, I lost my job on the back of that." And so I went, "Oh, I'm really sorry." I was like, "No, you did me a favor. I got out." Yeah, but they were saying the same thing that we're saying now with AI, right? Automation and now agentic AI. It's about empowering your staff, your people, to do something of more value.
Valuable and right thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're elevating people from mundane jobs. I can't get away from the image from the Simpsons cartoon, where Homer Simpson's got a job where he's just button, blip, blip, and then he gets one of those nodding toys and just puts it there. It's a blip, blip, right? That sort of mundane job. Who would? I mean, maybe there's someone who would like a job like that. It's not me. So if you were doing that and you can automate it, or you can get agentic AI to support and do that job, then you can sort of go and do something more useful, more constructive, more creative. Yeah, it's it's
it's
it's up to
it's a
you.
game changer. Yeah, it's a game changer, and it keeps you intact in the job as well. Something interesting is coming all the time, I feel.
Yeah,
Or as if it's, as you said, mundane job, or just monitoring the things. It's not us basically. We need challenges.
yeah. I mean, we've got to stay fresh, stay
Fresh.
interested.
Stay updated.
And I think ServiceNow as a platform, as a tool, has done that constantly. I've been working with it now just over 11 years. And if I think back to what it looked like, what it did on the day I started working with it, to now the capabilities, it's worth get the capability map out of Now Create, and try and they can barely fit it on a page anymore. And
Yeah.
I think one of the webinars recently, someone shared the capability map from Calgary or something like that, and then it was like a few boxes dotted around on this PowerPoint slide. They were trying to fill it. Now they're shrinking it all as much as possible because they can't squeeze it on the page.
If you see about CSDM as well, it was very small. Now it has grown a lot. So that's
Yeah,
it.
we're all
That's
we're,
it.
all- we're all waiting. We're all waiting for the official launch of
Not it.
V5. Even if someone let it out in the confidential forum the other week, but I haven't seen it beyond that. So we're
Official release out. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, waiting to see if digital product really made it or not.
Perfect. I
Yeah.
think we are done. 11, and I don't want to waste more time of a family man, or else Mrs. Corradi will hit me from there. Saturday, Amarjit, you have taken my husband's
They're out now. I've got peace now.
side.
I'm just gonna sit here quietly, Meditate.
And go through the video once whenever you get time, Rob. What we spoke, what we did,
Yep.
but I think we did it. Whatever the agenda was there, we have covered it. Whatever our
Well,
thoughts were there about Agentic AI.
it's ServiceNow, Amar. We could
Uh,
talk for another 3 or 4 hours and still
that's
be going.
that's what and thank you, Rob. First of all, very much thank you. And it was like we completed 1 hour. It never felt like that. That's what you said. Now we can talk
Yeah.
about service now like 6 hours, 7 hours. Next time, I will involve two, three guests. Maybe Moose, you and
Yeah.
me doing a
We'll
round
do
conference.
a round table. Do it in
Yeah,
person.
round table.
Find a
Yeah,
venue.
kind of venue. Yeah, yeah. Same place. Here also, I can invite a lot of people. And but
Yeah.
we need Moose to come out, and we are making it live, Muzamil. That's the reason you should come out.
No excuses. No work trips was in
Yeah.
person.
Thank you. Let's end this. Okay. Cheers. Thank you so
Thank you. Have a
much.
great weekend. Take care.
Same
Bye
to
bye.
you. Cheers. Bye. Bye. Bye.